Do you aspire to DJ in the best nightclubs in the world and play on the biggest festival stages? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what you need to do in order to maximize your chances for success. Let's get into it. Now, if you want to go down the route of trying to get booked for big festivals and the best nightclubs in the world, number one, you are going to have to need a lot of grit, determination, and a lot of consistency over many, many years. It is quite a tall order. It's very hard to do. I'm not saying it's unachievable, but it is quite hard to do. So what I've done is I've drawn this diagram here. This triangle, apologies for the poor art skills, but this represents the world DJs. In the top sector here, you've got the top 1% of the whole DJ population. This is artists like the David Guettas, the Martin Garrixes. These people are getting booked for headline spots at the best clubs, the biggest festivals in the world. They have a big enough following that they can draw in people and people en masse for many, many miles around because they want people, people want to see these guys play. Underneath that, we've got the remaining 9% out of the top 10%. Now, this 9% here represents artists with big followings, however, not quite the level of following as the headliners. So here you've got artists that are getting booked regularly for these festivals, for these clubs, but not in the headline slot. Now, they might still be headlining their own shows, but in slightly smaller venues because they've got a following. They can definitely attract a crowd in, but not to the level of the David Guettas, the Calvin Harrises, the Martin Garrixes, etc. And then underneath that, you've got the remaining 90% of DJs around the world. So that is a massive population. So that is people across the board like me that plays regularly in high street nightclubs. You've got people that are playing underground clubs that aren't as big a well-known name. You've got wedding DJs, you've got corporate DJs, you've got bedroom DJs. I'm gonna put them all in this bucket, okay? So that is the DJ population. So as you can imagine, we have a huge population of DJs here and very few in the top two sectors. So how do you get from here up to here? Now that is possible, however, you need to focus on one particular thing in order to maximize your chances for success. And that is music production. The biggest difference between the DJs like me, you, that are playing regularly and are playing at local events, clubs, bars, weddings, all of those types of events, and the DJs that are playing these massive nightclubs, these massive festival stages, is they are being booked as artists rather than DJs. And so if you are spending all of your time focused on learning how to DJ and improving your DJing and becoming more and more technical as a DJ, okay, I would probably say stop. Yes, it is important to learn the fundamentals of mixing two tracks together and putting together a DJ set. Of course, that is important. I'm not saying that it suddenly goes out of the window. However, what I would be doing is focusing a lot more time on music production and mastering Ableton, Logic, whatever production software you choose, and releasing your own music. That is the absolute fundamental difference, because if you think of like a David Guetta set, people are coming to see him to play his own tracks. It's very, very rare that you'll go to a DJ set by one of these big artists and they just play a string of tracks that are not theirs. Now, when it comes to DJ skill of this top 1% or even the top 10%, okay, yes, there are outliers out there. You've got James Hype, who's very, very technical and has built a massive audience based on his technical ability. You have people like Fred again, very, very technical. However, the majority of DJs in this bucket know the basics of DJing, and that is about it. I've seen Martin Garrix play, I've seen David Guetta play, and this is no criticism to them. However, their actual DJing is largely mixing one song into the other, and nothing that special, nothing that technical. And so this is why the focus needs to be all on the music production side of things versus the learning how to DJ. Now, when it comes to your approach on music production, I'm not a producer, so I'm not an expert. However, I do know a lot of DJs that also do produce on the side. Nothing like major, but I know that they produce. And how they all started is the same thing. They downloaded their software of choice and they started playing around, making reworks, making edits, making mashups of existing tracks. And that will get you the fundamental skills in terms of, you know, finding your way around the software. You can then upload those edits, mashups, etc. onto a platform like SoundCloud, and that is a good way to start building a bit of an audience, especially within the DJ community. And if you're really lucky and you strike gold with one of your mashups, it might even be picked up by one of the top 10% of DJs. Once you've mastered the basics of music production software, you can then use those skills to then start to develop your own sound and your own original tracks. It's your own original tracks that are going to get you the work and the recognition. Now, this is going to be quite difficult to do because, of course, there are many, many artists out there trying to make it. However, if you've got enough dedication, enough consistency, and enough pushing and pushing and pushing and building your audience in the background, then hopefully you will be lucky and you might find yourself on a festival or a big club lineup one day. So there we have it. If you've ever wondered about how to get booked on a big festival stage or headline a massive nightclub, you need to shift your focus away from DJing and more onto music production. Do an 80-20 split, I would say, is probably a good way to tackle it. As long as you know the fundamentals of DJing, then it's all about the production side of things, in my opinion. Hope you found this video useful. Please hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit the thumbs up button, it's completely free and pushes this to more people that might find this topic interesting, and I will see you in the next video.